guys ever want a chance to see some really cool motorcycles, you should stop at Corinth, Mississippi at Lakehill Motors. Dwayne Mclemore has quite the museum of stuff here. Let me take you around, show you some of the bikes, and we'll talk to him. Maybe he can tell us about some of the history, because some of these bikes... If you like race bikes, obviously you can see a couple TZ250s here. There's a Honda F2 that won a WERA championship, a pretty cool Ducati. This bike here was a mini cycle national champion in 1976. Aldana's, I think he's won 5 championships on that bike there. This sets some ET records here. We've got a Dickman replica bike here that is always intended for racing, hasn't got to the track yet. We're gonna keep bugging Dwayne about getting it out to the track. One of my favorite bikes he's got here, and I've heard this thing run. It's mean sounding when it's running. You've got a Dickman replica. Tell us what this bike is.
Well, it's a single overhead cam 750 Honda, which Dickman won Daytona in 1970. It was the first year for them, and it's a replica of that bike, but it's race ready, and I'm a little afraid to run it because I got it now, but anyway, I'm thinking about letting Sean drive it here.
We'll skip through some of these other bikes. We'll look at the race bikes for now. This is a bike that Dwayne himself has raced all over the country. Pretty cool bike. This is a Bubba Schobert bike. This is a dry sump engine. It's a pretty special thing. Check out everything going on down here. That's the bike and his leathers from when he raced it. Got another bike here. Dwayne actually has raced this bike himself at Daytona. All right, so this is a Bridgestone
SR175.
SR175, and you bought it in the late 60s. You raced scrambles with it. You did a little bit of everything. You decided you want to go road racing.
So I built a road racer. Raced at Daytona in 1974. Finished second. That was in the amateur, but it was still Daytona. And parked it. Here it is. Still runs, ready to go.
1974, that thing raced there. These are he still has the leathers that he wore down there. What happened to the windscreen on it?
Well, I broke the windscreen in practice, and super glue had just came out. Nobody knew what it was, but I had some. So I super glued the windscreen back together. And so I went through AMA Tech, and one of the AMA techs said, I don't know. He wiggled it. He said, I don't know about that. And another tech come over there, and he said, what'd you glue that together? I said, super glue. He said, man, I got some of that on my finger, and I had to go to the emergency room. Let him go. So they let me pass AMA Tech. It was pretty good.
You got all these bikes that are worth, who cares, tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But probably your favorite are these ones here that belong to your grandson. You got Casey Cochran. How many national titles does that kid have?
He has 7 AMA national titles. And he has 3 on the Cobras, and he has 1 on the 50 junior, the 50 senior, and the 65. Yep. And they're all right here in the museum. You can come see them.
What do we got to do to get him road racing?
Well, I got the bikes here. Now, he'll ride one of your road racing bikes if you need a pilot.
Well,
he's did a little bit of track days. He likes it. So maybe that's in the future too.
All right, so the problem when you come here and Dwayne's here is every one of these bikes, he's going to tell you a story. We'd be here for hours as we talk about them. We're walking around here and he starts to tell us about it. But you've got the majority of your collection is Japanese bikes, but you got this really cool Royal Enfield up there. Why don't we go talk about that bike?
1921.
What year is it?
1921.
All right, let's walk. We'll talk about it while we're walking up there.
All right, so here it is. 1921 Royal Enfield. It's 1,000cc Vickers. It has total loss oil. You have to pump the oil as you're going. And it's got a hand crank. You start it with a hand crank. And it has some really crude disc brakes.
Check this thing out.
It's got wooden brake shields.
And can we fire that thing up right now if we wanted to?
Well, we could. We'll have to put some gas in it. I got it mothballed, but we could.
But every bike we've walked around here, he's been able to fire up. Some of the more unique ones, he doesn't keep fueling them, but
yeah,
every one of these
here runs. They all run.
All right. How many more of these 1921 Royal Enfields are there?
Well, there were only two of running, non-restored examples, and one of them was in a museum in Japan, in England, and the museum burnt down. So this is the only one anybody knows about that's a running, unrestored example right here.
I have no idea how he keeps track of all this stuff, but you need a tank off of a Sandcast CB750. He's got one. Man, he told me what these were for, but set of brand new pipes for something. He's got one. You need a brand new tank for a Bridgestone. He's got one. So he's got many storage areas like this around here. We're walking through here and I'm like, you don't even know what these cranks are for. Look at these cranks sitting here. He goes, oh yeah, that's a TZ250, and he starts rattling off. It's a G, it's a something. He's got those. And then he's like, oh, you need the cylinders for them? Let's go over here and look at these cylinders we've got. So stick with me while we get over there. And you need some TZ250 cylinders? Oh, no problem. We got a couple here. And he goes, well, look at this one. And I don't know much about this personally, but here's a set of TZ250 cylinders that have reeds on them. I don't know how often you see something like that, but looks pretty darn cool to me. So one of the things about Dwayne is he likes to have bikes that are a little bit different. So if you look at this thing, look at the serial number on this thing. This is serial number 1. So that's a typical type of bike you'll find here. Here's one of the cool things about Dwayne. A couple weeks ago, he sends me a message, says, hey, you want a TZ250? He's like, I got one. It's got all these spares and all this stuff for it. And I'm like, hey man, where's that TZ250 you wanted to sell me? He's like, oh man, I ain't got it yet. I'm gonna call the guy right now. So we might be buying a TZ250 right here. We have a Honda RC30 here, a VF1000 that's here. Got this really cool Kate's frame Honda 250 with some special stuff on it. Here's a bike here, very, very rare Honda 350. So this is a 1968 Honda CB 350. It is a one of 10 prototype bikes that they made, and this is actually number 8 of the prototypes. This is what the final production exterior of the motorcycle was going to look like. This bike has never been started. It only has 2 miles on it from rolling it around. This is before they made them, and this what'd they make? I mean, they've made millions of these bikes, but this was an early prototype of that bike. He's got a couple of these. Here's a Sandcast Honda 750, and here is Yamaha's first motorcycle that they ever made. That is the first year. He can tell you some of the history on the thing right here, but it's a YA1, and then he also has the second motorcycle that Yamaha ever made right there. This is a Babe DeMay bike that he built. Don't know the whole story to it. Maybe pulled one over on the AMA about building 50 of these and racing them for a while. Some bikes that have some kind of importance. This bike here was actually in the movie Saving Private Ryan. This is a 3-wheeler that he built, did pulling, did sand drags. It's never been defeated. He sold it, lost it for quite a few years, finally got it back. A cool old Cannondale. And these are all motorcycles that his grandson and then his friend have won championships on. So his friend and his grandson have won vintage championships on these 2 bikes, and then Casey has won championships on these Suzukis and on the Cobras. So if you guys know anything about Dwayne, he's got a little problem with motorcycles, and this is his thing. He's got these things called critter bikes. So he buys these things and he puts some kind of critter on them. This thing's got a toad on the front fender. He rides them all over. He just had this one down to Barber, and while he was there, here was a very unique bike that he picked up. It's a Yamaguchi, and he also got this Honda. I think it's a 1963. Don't hold me to that, but all stock except for the grips that are on it. So here is a Sandcast. He can give us the serial number. He's really weird about that. He's got all the serial numbers in his mind stuff, but there's actually only 24 bikes older than this one. So this is a Honda CB750 Sandcast. One of the unique bikes you got here is this Ducati. Tell us a little bit about this bike.
Well, it says 916, but it's a 955 SP. Here's a thing in the magazine telling about they built 50, and there's only 20 of them left in the country, and it's serial number 2, and it's the fuel-injected Ducati. And anyway, it's a 955 SP, pretty rare. 1953 Indian. It's an Indian 80 cubic inch Chief. Now, 1953 was the last year of the original Indian motorcycle company, and they only built 140 units, and this is one of the last, the first Indian.
That is one of the last of the first Indians. That is
Indian, the original Indian company, 1902 to 1953.
All right, and then while we're looking at that, right behind him is the very first Honda product that Honda made.
Now, he didn't make the bicycle, but this is a Cub engine. He made those to put onto a bicycle, and so that was the first real Honda product.